Hey guys, it's me, Die on the Fly. I got a new story for you, submitted by a friend of mine. It's called The Mask, and it was submitted by my friend MCALVIN160. So a big shout out and a big thank you to MCALVIN for sharing this story with us. And he says, "Well, I am not a believer in the paranormal, and prior to the story I've had no experience with the scary or the unexplainable. I was staying with a group of friends in a house in Lancaster County, PA. As we all got comfortable with living together and establishing roommate rules, it came out that my friends had a serious problem. They had a creepy Halloween mask that they just couldn't get rid of. We tried to get rid of this mask every way you can think of. My poor frightened housemate friends tried throwing it outside in the yard, and the very next day the mask would reappear every time in a different area of the house. My friends drove it far away up the road, and the very next day after they threw it out, the mask reappeared in the living room. It started affecting all of our sleep, and the mask made the house feel overly creepy. For the longest time I prayed and searched out with God a way we could get rid of this mask. See, I am a former ministry counselor, and I have seen many bad spiritual things that couldn't be explained, and in some cases couldn't be gotten rid of. Now, we had this creepy mask that just wouldn't go away, no matter what we all did. I tried everything my Christian ministry counseling had taught me. I prayed over this mask, reading the Bible and rebuking its evil in the name of Jesus. Sorry guys for coughing. I prayed over this mask, asking the Lord to keep it from coming back and reappearing in the house. I even got all my housemates together, had a Bible study session where we invoked the power of Jesus, and we all joined hands and agreed in the name of Jesus that this mask had no power and could not return to the house. But still it continued to reappear back at the house, often in front of all of us in the evening, with none of us knowing how it got there. Finally, I got really annoyed, drew out my Bible and prayed over the mask and rebuked it in the name of Jesus. And then I took it out to the mailbox. I had everyone help me ensure that all the windows and entrances were locked, and we all silently prayed that God would keep this mask from reappearing. Usually in my ministry experience, praying the power of Jesus down on something evil usually worked, and I couldn't figure out why none of what I did and none of what we all did in agreement worked. And wouldn't you know, the next morning after I had thrown the mask out the night before in the mailbox, the mask again appeared in the middle of the living room right in front of all of us. When evening fell that night, my one roommate friend John decided that he was going to get rid of this mask one way or the other. So he went outside, started a huge fire in our on-the-ground homemade barbecue pit, and proceeded to try and burn this mask to nothing. I told my friend not to do this, figuring that trying to burn this mask would unleash more evil onto us and into the house. And sure enough it did, but not in the way you would expect. Instead of the roaring flames completely incinerating this mask, it was like the fire wasn't even touching it. I got really scared, though I didn't let on, and I told my friends that I was going to go inside to call a pastor friend of mine for advice as to what to do about this mask. Unfortunately, I did not get an answer on my friend's phone for whatever reason, so I sat down on the couch for a few to make one last-ditch thinking attempt to come up with a doable plan to get rid of this mask for good. I must have been gone for a long time because everyone came in and asked me where I had been and what I had been doing for so long. But if I can say in a sideline, this mask really was starting to have an influence on me, and much more than I had expected, because while I thought I had been trying to come up with a plan, my mind had somehow gone blank, and it felt as though I had gone to a place I didn't even know I had gone to. This really scared me. Sorry guys, I have a scratchy throat today. I told my friends I was going to my room to have a private Bible study and prayer session and that I would see them in the morning. I excused myself and went to my room knowing full well what I was going to do, and feeling bad knowing what I was going to do. As soon as the house was quiet, I stealthily packed my bags, headed to the living room to slip out the door, and there the mask was, sitting right in the middle of the living room. The fact that this time it was facing my direction, which is something that it had never done before, scared me even more. So without even thinking, I jumped around the mask, flew out the door, flew into my car, and away from this house I went. I do feel bad that I ran because I don't usually run from things. And I don't usually leave a place without a proper notice and without a proper goodbye. But after this experience, you can understand why I got the heck out of that house and away from that mask. I have never ever seen anything like this again, and I have to tell you I'm not sorry that I ditched that mask. Night night, sleep tight.